Welcome to the Bliss Movement, a podcast for big-hearted, driven women daring to be great who know that this starts by pouring love into themselves first. I'm Dr. Fee. I'm passionate about helping women to stop tuning out and burning out, but to tune within, reconnect with your heart, feel lit up, follow your bliss, and live life on your terms. So, get ready to expand your life beyond what you thought was possible when it comes to healing, wealth, love, purpose, and leadership. Are you stuck in the suffering gap or acknowledging your goodness? We are going to have such a rich conversation today. Welcome, gorgeous. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I have got a lot in store for you. My intention is that you're going to walk away feeling really lit up, a shift in your mindset so that you can see and do and feel and be in life differently. And it all starts by acknowledging your goodness first. This is how we discover happiness and joy and courage and all the things that are necessary on this path of claiming a life that we truly, truly love. Now let's have a little chat about the suffering gap. And this is something that I have experienced and I watch myself even in today, there's times where we'll just slip into this, and it's because of the way that we're conditioned. Now, you might be like me where you have lots of different ideas, like, oh, I want this, I want that, and you're just lit up with a lot of different creative ideas, or you can really get, like, in a way, I talk about getting addicted to excitement. It's just like this whole sense of like possibility. What about this? What about that? What about all these things? And so for a lot of us, there's no problem in focusing forward and really tuning into what it is that we would like. Yeah. In my experience of this, and I've studied with the greats of Joe Dispenza and Law of Attraction with Abraham Hicks, and, really dived right a deep dive into this beautiful, amazing teachings around the metaphysical way of co-creation, like how you think and feel, shift your essence, your frequency, your vibration to draw that to you and manifest these things in your life. And my ego was like, yippee! Now I can get exactly what I want. And so I was in this process of really being very, very diligent, really shifting my mindset, positive affirmations and positive visualization, really doing a lot of meditation, mind movies and all these things in order to really stay focused on what it is that I want, what it is that I want to manifest and co-create in my life. But what happened for me is that I noticed that there was a lot of there was a come down from that. There was a real crash, which is where the suffering gap came from, which is where I'm here looking ahead, focused on what it is that I desire, and then coming back, looking around my life and be like, I'm not there yet. And suffering right here because I haven't met this external ideal. I haven't got that thing yet. I haven't accomplished X, Y, Z. And feeling worse because of it. And I mean, honestly, it would impact me. And so my default pattern is, of course, and you might resonate this, is like, what am I doing wrong? I'm not there yet, so it must be me. And I would put more pressure on myself to do more of the work. I'm not doing the work good enough. But actually, at the end of the day, it's recognizing we are in co-creation. All of that is true. It all works. But we have to recognize we are in co-creation, which means that surrender is key, because universal love is orchestrating it all for us. And so we need to surrender to what that looks like. And even though I got that on a level, to actually really understand and really practice living life and being in life in a surrendered way, it's a whole nother game to how people are generally teaching manifestation out there. And this is a really, really important conversation to be having, because you might be like noticing that where you are focusing on, whether it's your work or love, or it's like you're comparing yourself to an ideal that you had when you were 20. It might be that you're comparing yourself to others. It might be that you have this real FOMO, like you want to actually be at home more with the kids, but then you're terrified, like fear of missing out on the opportunities at work, and you get jealous and envious of other people who don't have family, and that's their priority. And it's like, we end up battling ourselves. We end up feeling immense struggle because we are unable to appreciate where we are right now, because we're so fixated on getting somewhere out there. And I have supported so many women, so many amazing, beautiful, gorgeous women who are so intelligent, so capable, so driven, and striving and striving and striving and striving and striving for more out there in order to fill a void in here. And I'm pointing to my heart. And when they finally get there, and Tiffany, one of my clients, watching her testimonial is amazing, because she accomplished that position only to then find and discover she's really, really lonely at the top, looking around and going, oh, you know that feeling inside, the void, the emptiness that I thought was going to be met by this position, by getting there, by this depth of level of success that I always thought I wanted to attain, that it would make all the difference. And then getting there and realizing, oh, actually, it hasn't been the thing I've been seeking. And this is why reconnecting with our heart, pouring love into ourselves, and really focusing on becoming more complete, more whole in our pursuit of the material. It's not in exclusion. It doesn't mean that then we renounce everything and we just focus on this. We're in life to have a full and enjoyable life, but it's like we enjoy the journey along the way, and in turn experience greater levels of success and material wealth and all the things that we want: love and health, vitality, balance, rest and joy and flow, but in a way that we're enjoying ourselves right here, right now, open to more. And this is the concept of the feminine, and how we can truly incorporate a different way of thinking, feeling, doing and being in life. Now, my experience of this is like being so attached to getting a home. It was my first home in Clifton Hill. It was years in the making. And, I was doing all the things in order to really ensure that I would get this home. And it felt like this big thing, this milestone that I just had to have. Other people had their home. I'd be like looking at realestate.com all the time, and it's like, oh my gosh, I just want us to have our home when we first have a family. And, really focusing on all the houses that were getting bought and sold, and looking at the people and making stories up about who they are and who I was in comparison, because I don't have a home. And really, it is a wonderful story. We did end up manifesting the most incredible opportunity that we actually found. We actually were able to get a home in Clifton Hill, and this is inner city Melbourne, a beautiful, beautiful suburb. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. But the experience, what this lesson really taught me, wasn't about how to get what you want. It was actually a teaching around that sometimes what we think we want isn't actually what we need. And buying my home, I thought would be the thing that would help me feel really safe and secure. And there was an element of significance as well. Like, I felt like I needed to have a home to feel good about myself. Like, it was this milestone that I've met, and this sometimes takes, it's a big pill to swallow, like this, our need for significance, our need to, feel good about ourselves. Well, having a home was one of those needs. It was really meeting that need for significance. But I had this really big need for security. And I thought, getting my first home, oh my gosh, yes, then I'll feel really safe and secure. We purchased it, and I didn't sleep for at least 3 or 4 months, because the insecurity within me actually got amplified. It was like, oh my God, now we have it. What if I lose it? Oh my gosh, now we have it. How am I going to pay off the bill? Well, we know how we're going to pay off the bill, because that's been planned. But it was like, I couldn't sleep. I felt even more insecure. And it was like, oh my goodness, what I've actually been chasing isn't a home. What I've been chasing is security. There's a part within me that has been like, I am craving to feel safe, secure, grounded, to have a home, but to really feel belonging within me. And now it's not to say that we don't get to enjoy a home, but it's like wonderful. You might have experienced this yourself. It's like when you get a certain level of money, if you don't feel secure and wealthy within you, then you're scared about, oh my God, am I going to spend it the wrong way? Or you might hoard it. You might want to hold on to it like Scrooge McDuck, scared about losing it, scared about spending it. Or you might do the other thing, which is like, oh my God, hot potato. And you just waste it and you just let it all go, because this is about the shadow. This is about the wounds within us, the vasanas. We are in a classroom to really integrate, love these parts of ourselves back into whole to become more complete. And if we can see the journey of creating a life that we truly love as the opportunity to go within and to truly, everything we're given is this beautiful process to really meet that and have the material needs and wants that, a car, a career, a booming business, hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings and shares and millions of dollars here and there. Like, I'm all for it. But to recognize that if we are here focusing forward on this one day, someday, and attached to the thing that I need, I cannot feel complete if that's what you will hear the narrative. The story you will be telling yourself is like, I can't feel settled. I don't feel enough. Until I get him, until I get her, until we experience this, until we hit this milestone. Sweetheart, you're attached. Where are you? You're in the suffering gap. And so what I'm going to invite you to do is to acknowledge your goodness. And there's 3 ways that you can do this. And this is something that I have experienced in my own life. I continue to do this work. It's not like you just do it the once and then that's it. This is actually what is needed, because our tendency is to slip in. Like, this is the way that we're wired. Psychologically, we are wired to focus on where I am and where I want to get to, and the gap that exists between this, so focusing forward versus actually acknowledging the journey that we've taken to here, looking over your shoulder. So acknowledging your good is this process where you actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you'll be able to see me turning over my shoulder. But on the podcast, it's like you turn over your shoulder, look behind you. That is how you acknowledge your good. Now, why this is so important is because this is key. This is essential. This is crucial. I cannot stress this enough to you actually finding happiness, abundance, joy, security, love, all the things you're actually seeking right here, right now. And in turn, it motivates you. It is what lights you up. It makes you magnetic to more of that. So the first element is this of the having principle, which is acknowledging your good in what you have. Now, if you have read the book, The Having, if you haven't, I encourage you to do it. You'll get what I mean. And it's this really beautiful, if you've ever explored money mindset or abundance or wealth mechanics when it comes to frequency and energy work, then the process to magnetize and co-create miracles and magnetize money in your life is really through gratitude of what you have. But it's this energy and essence of having. And we are so lucky. If you're tuning into this, chances are you are in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, or USA, because that's where my clients, around the world exist. Then you'll probably experience, this, you have the same experience where you're looking at, like, I want this goal, this material goal. And you have this immediate sense of like, lack, like I'm not there yet. But if you shift it and be like, actually, what do I have? And you probably got such a depth of abundance because you live in these places. Like, you will probably have food in your refrigerator. It puts you in the top 10, 20% of abundance in the world. Like we just overlook what we have. And so our mindset gets caught in lack and scarcity, and that influences the decisions we make. We miss opportunities because of our lack mentality, and it makes us feel like we make the decisions that aren't growth orientated. We don't invest in ourselves. We don't invest time or energy or money into ourselves because we're so in like lack consciousness. And instead, the having principle is really supportive of like, what do I have? And when you start to notice on this, the having of things, it shifts your experience of life, rather than like paying for those groceries and thinking, oh my God, here I am. I shouldn't have purchased those extra muesli bars, or I shouldn't have splurged on that thing. I shouldn't have bought that brand of champagne. I shouldn't have done this or that, like all these things, beating yourself up, like not being able to enjoy what you have. You sit there and instead you're like, you have gratitude, you cultivate gratitude that, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I have this money. And this is the law of flow, like giving and receiving, like holding gratitude that I have this experience, I have this money right now, and I share it with these people, and I have money, because money, what is money? I mean, it's just a currency that steps you into love. Like having money means that you can then create experiences of love, of rest, of peace, of joy. Now, you don't need to have money in order to experience love, but that's what you can use it. It amplifies what you have, and that's the beautiful thing. So you start to appreciate what you have more. In turn, you'll notice that there's a shift in how you're thinking about things, how you notice things. Like gratitude, if we just look at gratitude itself, the studies are phenomenal. So if you were to do a gratitude practice, like writing a letter every day around gratitude to yourself, what you're grateful for 3 weeks, in 3 months down the track, you will still have ongoing brain changes. So immediately, if we test your brain after those 3 weeks, PET scans will show that there are some real significant brain changes that have happened because of your gratitude practice. But it's also long lasting. If you then just don't do any more gratitude practice, you just like, oh yeah, whatever, ditch it, as we do. 3 months down the track, we can still measure ongoing brain changes because of that gratitude practice. Gratitude practice helps you to sleep better, rest, feel more restful. It just basically shifts the lens perspective. And we know, like there's some studies that show gratitude practice helps with anxiety, depression, and mood regulation. So focusing with gratitude on what you have is like helping you on a physiological level, psychological, heart set level, but also on a metaphysical level. So the having principle, what are you grateful for now? What do you have? And with that, then you can step into, and I open myself up to more, because now what you're doing is avoiding the suffering gap. So it's like acknowledging, looking over your shoulder to what you have right now, looking around in life. Oh my gosh, this is what I have. And then focusing forward to what it is that you want supports you. You have a strong foundation then, so you're less likely to spiral into that suffering gap. And if you notice that you do, it's easy. You just come back, shift your focus to what it is that I have, and practice opening yourself up to more. If you find that then you start to think about the goal that you want and it makes you feel contracted, you start ruminating like, how am I going to do it? You start getting fixated on the time, it's not happening yet. Stop it. Stop it. Stop focusing on the goal and come back focusing on acknowledging your goodness and what it is that you have. It's better for you on a mindset, every level. And so the second element is acknowledging your good in who you are. Now you'll hear me talk about again and again, the path of following your bliss is really the focus on who you are becoming. It's not about the things that we're doing out there that's really going to really get you, all the life that you want, and the career, the love, the health that you desire. It's really about focusing on the process and on your becoming. And so this again is looking over your shoulder, acknowledging the times in your life where you have discovered or where the gifts have been revealed, your strengths. Who are you, sweetheart? Like, when have you actually stopped and acknowledged and recognized who you truly are? You think, I'm not good. And this is my experience. When I'm here and I'm caught in the suffering gap, looking forward towards this ideal, that I have kind of like this unrealistic, sometimes very unrealistic expectation that I have of myself, I forget who I actually am. Because I create all these stories of like, I'm not smart enough, I'm not fast enough, I'm not committed enough. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I let myself down. I'm such a failure. Here I go again. Why don't I just get it? Blah, blah, blah. Where am I? I'm in the suffering gap. Pull out, look over your right shoulder. Remember where you have come from. Remember all the things that you've navigated. Acknowledge your strengths. Remember the time that you got through worse than this. Remember the time that it felt really, really tricky and yet you persisted. Remember the time that you learned that particular lesson. What are the lessons that you've learned? And this is this third step, which is what you've gained. Everything in your life is there for your transformation. Use it. rum dust. This is a quote that you'll hear me say again and again and again because it was so profound. It had such a big impact on me at the beginning of my burnout recovery that it's just something I play over and over in my mind. Everything that you are given is therefore a vehicle for your transformation. Use it. And so this is a real growth mindset. Could that heartache actually be like the chariot, the vessel of a lesson that you're yet to mine? Like I talk to my clients all the time, mine the gold. Go in and mine the gold. Like look behind you, learn the lessons, embrace the memories, the good times, leave the rest. And so, what have you gained in life? What lessons, what mindset shifts? Like who I am today is so very different to who I was last week. I could just sit down now and do like what I call a 50 stack, which is just 50 things, or 50 stack of awesomeness, like 50 things where I've grown or shifted, acknowledged, or insights that I've had, lessons that I've learned, and just be here and like write it out. My growth happens that quickly. And this is when you do the inner work, you grow exponentially. It's not linear. It's like, oh my gosh. And it feeds. And if you keep with this work consistently, it compounds. And so who I am right now is very different to who I was a week ago. Who I am right now compared to 2 years ago, oh my goodness. And this is why within Burnout to Bliss, Expanding Bliss, we have such an element of celebration. Celebrating ourselves, celebrating everything, celebrating our challenges, finding the lesson, and then really discerning that so that we can take that forward. Now, this means that whatever happens to you in life is there for you. Universal love is orchestrating this for you. It means that you're able to embrace it in such a healthy way that you're like, okay, it sucks. I wish this didn't happen. You get to have a human experience, right? It's real. And then what becomes your natural tendency is like, let me discover what is there in this for me. What's the lesson? What's the opportunity? And so you become more unstoppable. This is what I talk about, unstoppable grace. You can just tap into this inner resource of like, okay, there's something in it for me. What is it? What do I get to take forward and leave the rest? And that means that you can then embrace, you don't have to hold back because of the what ifs. Like what if it doesn't work out? What if I go all in and it collapses? What if you'll naturally come to this conclusion yourself? It's just be there, but sweetheart, you'll learn the lessons and you move forward. Sweetheart, you'll be able to celebrate the gold. Sweetheart, focus on your becoming. Sweetheart, it's all happening for you. Use it. That becomes your operating mode. And so this is something to be celebrated. And honestly, it is in your control. It's kind of at the end of your fingertips, but not really, because it's within. It's there for you to truly tap into. But it does take the discipline and the motivation to actually focus on these three elements, which is you're having, like in what you have, in who you are, and in what you're celebrating, what you've gained, the lessons learned. And so what I'm going to invite you to do, and this is something that I do every night, it's something that is one of the foundational practices within my Burnout to Bliss process. And this is really each night focusing on doing the inner work before you go to sleep. There's this beautiful window of opportunity where you can kind of bookend the day. It's like, all right, this is the day I've had. And it's like creating this pattern interrupt or this pause in life so that you can actually take the lessons. You can actually focus on what is good. You can realign to what I have right now. Sleep. While you sleep then, it's like you've set your subconscious mind, you're aligning it to something that is so much more positive and healthy versus like endless scrolling on Instagram and getting caught up in arguments or really focusing on things that you're just like, oh my God, that's just random stuff. This is not motivating me. This is not helping me in any way. I'm now just in FOMO. I feel envious. I feel lack. I feel like, because there's so much psychological manipulation that happens on social media, right? And so, ditch that and instead I'm going to invite you to experiment. And you're going to hear me say this again and again and again, because if I say to you, do this for the rest of your life, your ego will be like, no way, man. My inner child is a little rebel, and she hates routines, and she hates, regimented sort of structure. Oh my gosh, because a real need of mine is freedom. But what I teach in Burnout to Bliss is something called rhythms. And rhythms are non-negotiable times in the morning and the night, but you can choose the elements of it. But it is how you pour love into yourself first. And doing this at night helps you to truly, like I said, it's like ditching the residue of today so that tomorrow you can wake up owning your day. It's about reclamation of your life. I'm going to invite you to focus on 3 things that you have. What do you have in life? I come back to right now in this moment, what do you have? And be specific. This is not like, oh, I have a home. Oh yeah, I have my husband. I don't want you just to repeat it. It's like, be specific of that day, of what you're noticing you have. Oh my gosh, like it could be something like, oh my gosh, I love that I have these new earrings. You listen to the podcast, you won't see them, but it's like these beautiful new arrow earrings. Oh, I love how they look. I love how I feel when I put them on. It could be like, oh my gosh, I have Nick, who is so supportive. And I'll be so specific, like, I have his support, like when he came over and gave me a cuddle this morning and was just like, let's have a great day today, sweetheart. I have that. Then I want you to focus on what you're grateful for. And you'll see that there is an interplay for all of these. Gratitude will be woven into these three steps. The first is 3 halves. The second is 3 things you're grateful for from today. And the last is 3 wins. And these are the lessons that you've learned, or things that you've accomplished, or lessons from the challenges. So this is where the 3 wins, you really want to acknowledge where you were scared and you took the leap anyway, where there's something that like unexpected happened, but you did it, or how you showed up for yourself and you got those particular things off your to-do list. And this is really, really important, because often our to-do list is just crazy. But if you focus on the 3 wins, then you can acknowledge that progress is being made. So there we go. There's so much in this conversation. I know. I just invite you to truly acknowledge when you are getting in the suffering gap, because it is our tendency to abandon what we have right now and focus on the grass is greener, and to focus on someone, to focus on someone, but to focus on one day, someday, when I get there. And that is just detrimental to you experiencing contentment and fulfillment and all the things that it is that you want. And that the simple shift of acknowledging your goodness, what you have, who you're becoming, and what you've gained, what you've attained, the lessons learned, and to really focus on this consistently, it just needs to be simple, like 3 halves, 3 gratitude, 3 wins. Oh my goodness. It will shift how you sleep, how you wake up. You'll notice the narratives changing. The lens that you look through will shift. Now you are rose-colored glasses. Yes, but this is wonderful because you can see new opportunities and you are feeling more stable in yourself, more resilient, more like steadfast in your vision. Like there's nothing wrong. You have your vision, but you're focused on who you are in the journey. And that is everything. It's been such a pleasure. I really love hearing everything that lands. So make sure you reach out, connect with me if you want to work with me on one of my programs, and otherwise enjoy the homework, the home play, experiment with it. If you just say 2 weeks, I'm just going to try this, then your ego will be less likely to resist it. So enjoy it. Bye-bye. It has been so beautiful spending this time with you. If you found today's episode inspiring or helpful, please subscribe, give us a good review, and share the love. I invite you to be a part of the Bliss movement. Join our Bliss Sisterhood or apply to join my Expanding Bliss program. The links are in my bio, and I cannot wait to be doing live with you soon. Stay tuned for the next episode where I'll be sharing more training, stories, strategies, and solutions to guide you towards your bliss.